It's Doug with ITK Culinary, and I'm going to save you guys a bunch of time with today's kitchen tip. So I do a lot of baking, and I used to do this all the time at the donut shop that I had. So one of the things that you need to measure out is yeast, and people always say it's a lot better to use weight than volume. So we use a scale, right? And when we turn this on, you get a container, you tear it out so that it sets to 0. And then if you need a tablespoon or a teaspoon of yeast, so in this, I'll use a tablespoon. I'll put that in there, and I know that my tablespoon of yeast is, you can't see this, but trust me, it says 12 grams, right? So I get a piece of tape. Follow me on this. You're going to be shook, as the kids say. So I say yeast, 1 tablespoon TBSB is 12 grams. All right, dump this yeast back in the container. I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of yeast. 1 teaspoon of yeast is 4 grams. 1 teaspoon is 4 grams. Now, I know that half a teaspoon is, do the math, 2 grams, right? I get the label, I put it onto my container. Check this out. So now, when I need to measure out yeast, I don't need to get a measuring cup, right? So what I can do is I can just get the bowl, tear this out so that it resets to 0. I have sugar, and it's the same deal. So if I need a tablespoon, a teaspoon, what have you, right? So now my scale is set to 0. I know 1 tablespoon of sugar, it won't be the same weight. Why? Come on, smart people. Why? Because the density. Sugar is going to be more dense than yeast. And I'm getting 15 grams right here. So I get my magic tape, just like this. I get my pen, and I say 1 tablespoon, 1 TBSP equals 15 grams. 1 tablespoon is equal to 15 grams. Then I get my sugar container. Boom, right on top. I know now that it's 15 grams. If I want a teaspoon, right, I can throw that in there. I got 6 grams of sugar with the teaspoon. I'm wondering if that's right. So let me clean this out entirely, because it seems like that is a little bit off. All right, reset to 0. Teaspoon. Look at that, 6 grams. All right, so I say 1 teaspoon. Teaspoon equals 6 grams. You can do this with cups too, and you can divide by half. And this way, when you do ingredients or for, say, pancakes, cupcakes, things like that, you're going to have flour, salt, sugar. Measure everything out, right? And get labels on it so that way you know. And it works with everything. So if you have baking powder instead of yeast, you can deal with baking powder instead of yeast. And you're not chasing the kitchen around looking for this. All you need to do is just get like a regular spoon, put it into the recipe that you're doing, put it into the bowl, and you're saving yourself a lot of time as well as dishes. All right, you've been served.